if you take people back to that time when lockdown ended,
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of small business owners thought everything would just go back to the way it was within a month or two, but that just wasn't the case. One thing that we should be concerned about is that we're losing teachers. Right now, there's over 100,000 teaching positions open, and they're estimating that by 2027, there'll be 200,000 unfilled positions. But I came home, I told my wife, I would never have spoken to an adult like that when I was 16. Yeah. And if my mom had found out, it would have been all over. And I will hear them talking to me, and like my daughter has a 2.5-year-old. She's repeating things that I used to say to her. She doesn't even know it.
Yeah.
And it'll make me laugh. So I always tell people, they're listening.
Like parroting. Yep.
It's soaking in. You just have to say it a lot, because maybe only 3% each time gets in. I think most people who are not in education would say it was pay.
Yeah.
But pay was actually 3. It was not. It was 3rd on the list. It was behavior, and it was the amount of work stress and pressure. When I used to do my speech about the 10 things that small business owners do that hurt their business,
the
very first thing I would say is raise your hand if you've done a business plan.
Right.
And maybe a third of the audience raise their hand and say, the rest of you don't even need to be here.
Right.
Because you shouldn't have a small business that you don't have a plan
step
for.
1.
Well, I think the hats thing sort of kind of be by accident. And for those listening, wearing a lot of hats is I've had a lot of jobs, a lot of businesses I've bought or started. I'll be honest with you, it's not always a good thing, because I get bored fast, and so I'm always looking for something new. That doesn't always make the people around you feel good, because you're always striking up new ventures. It's worked out for me most of the time, not always. I've had some failures, but I learned from them. And now the cover of my Facebook, which is a bridge that is leading up to the clouds, and the bridge is made up of binary code. I actually had Photoshop's AI create that for me. It took a while for me to figure out how to get the phrase, how I wanted it structured, but eventually I had probably 10 images I thought were quite amazing. And the funny thing about that is, a lot of times when you hear public schools argue that, well, private schools get better scores because they're able to get rid of problem children. Well, I'm like, well, if that's all it takes, then why don't we let's come up with a solution here.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to get rid of them. They deserve to get an education.
Yeah, they do.
I'll tell you a funny thing about that. 2 of my biggest failures I'm still most proud of. I thought they were the best ideas. I just couldn't get everyone else to agree, apparently. I'm very active. Obviously, I work out at my own gym. I got to represent. And but I played baseball in a wood bat league till I was 47. I think that you need to stay active physically and mentally in order to stay young longer. It was during that time that meeting with school districts, traveling around the country, doing speeches, talking with probably over 1,000 teachers, that a lot of what I saw was alarming. And I actually often think that they don't want those solutions. You know why? Because I can run on them again in 4 years or 2 years or whatever.
Exactly.
If you keep fixing everything, if you get up and say everything's good, you probably don't get elected. Someone asked me once to sit with their father for their business and just talk to him. They were going to pay me. And so I sat down, and he was going over something, and he started talking about how customers will want him to refund for this. And I said, well, how much is the refund? He's like, it's like $35. And I said, then give it to him. He said, well, why? I said, because first of all, you're admitting that there's a problem with it already.
Right.
You're just saying that it's not that big a problem.
Right.
But for them, it is. And I said, and they're not coming back. When you do something like a project or a business that you start from scratch, where it's your baby, like You came up with it, and it's hard to let go of it. You just want everyone to know that it's a beautiful baby. Why you need to pay more attention? But that's not always how it works out. And sometimes it's inevitable based on money. Other times you just realize that you're spinning your wheels and you're not really getting anywhere. I was one of the first in the state of Georgia who was digitally editing. And because of that, which would have been early 90s, and it was expensive back then, the systems. But because of that, we made a lot of money because we had the abilities that most others hadn't caught up with, who were still using analog. And that's what I hope AI turns out to be, is that it just does springboard more opportunities. We send kids to health class and tell them how to eat healthy. Then they leave that class and they go to the lunchroom, and it's not healthy. It's completely opposite of what they were just taught. She tells the parent, your son falls asleep every day in class. He can't keep his eyes open. And the parent said to her, I know. He just won't stay off that iPad all night playing games. I keep telling him to put it away. I'm like, this is a 7-year-old. You know what you do? You take the iPad away and you hide it and tell him he's not getting it again until he listens to mom and dad. I would be embarrassed to tell that story, that a 7-year-old was able to get one over on me. When my mom passed away in 2009, there were two things that happened that were a miracle. And I'm a skeptic by nature. So if I say that, before I would say that, I spent years trying to make sense of how did that happen? That's not possible. We want everybody to be treated equal. Those are some broad things that we would love to have applied across the board. But when it comes to a lot of other things, particularly social issues, there's no agreement across the country from state to state. I said to him, and I was young, so I probably thought I was being altruistic in a way.
Right.
I said, my wife at the time had given me these presents. And I said, I don't like getting presents. I just feel weird about it. I don't like it. But I like giving people presents.
Yeah.
And he said to me, so you're an asshole. And I said, well, why do you say that? He's like, because the joy you get in giving the presents,
right, you're
denying to other people.
Right.
Most cases, when I have found a teacher that is a rock star, they will quietly whisper to me, well, I don't do it the way they told me. I do it the way I know best because I've been teaching long enough. I know my class. I did a speech a couple years ago, and it was mostly district people, and you would have thought that I was asking them to all give up their leadership position. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking you to work with your teachers on these decisions that impact them. I want to talk to that guy. So I walked over, he was talking to someone, and I waited my turn, and I said to him, I will buy you lunch once a month at any restaurant you want if you'll let me pick your brain about business.
Just sit and talk to me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he stared at me for a few seconds. He said, okay, you're on.
Yeah.
He said, but I have a couple rules. And I said, okay, hit me with them. He said, I want you to bring a notepad. Okay. Because there's no point in trying to think you're going to remember everything.
Yeah, of course.
He said, and that notepad better have questions already predetermined, because we don't need to spend time for you to...
Right, waste his time. You're not prepared.
Yeah.
Sure.
He said, and you need to write them down as you think of them throughout the weeks. And he said, if you could agree to that, then no problem.